My name is Kay. I'm from Bryan, Ohio, a really small town, and I just finished doing the intensive. I think I was in such a place of like feeling stuck, like why can't I reach my full potential in my singing and what's holding me back, especially in situations where I'm singing for people, whether it's one person or 100 people or whatever. I could always feel something was really holding me back, and I just had never been able to really fully reach that barrier of what that is. And then above that, definitely technique and, growing and expanding all that. But really, I think it was more so just what are the barriers that are still holding me back from being fully expressed, when I'm singing and performing. The experience of doing the intensive was amazing. Definitely a lot of uncomfortable moments, which I know is great because when you're uncomfortable, you grow. The changes in my singing that I have noticed since doing the intensive are I feel a lot more consistency, first and foremost. Definitely, I trust myself a lot more that what I'm about to sing, I know what I'm about to deliver, whereas before it was kind of always up in the air. I didn't know if I was gonna sing how I did in my bedroom or not. So I feel definitely I feel such more a level of self-trust in my singing, and also more expressed, just to go for it, whereas before I used to hold back and kind of be unsure of myself. In terms of performing, almost I used to care so much about being judged and what people were gonna think of my voice and all these things I had going on, whereas now I feel just free to sing and perform and just be myself instead of trying to be what I think people want to hear or what I'm supposed to be. It's more I'm just singing from myself. I'm singing way more authentically, and I think not just authentically, but what I envisioned always fully being and sounding like. I definitely am on that path and feel like I'm having those moments of just, when you see I don't know, Whitney Houston on stage or something, she's being fully her, right? Or she was, and I think for me, I'm feeling that in myself, just being authentic and more raw and more vulnerable instead of holding back and being nervous and scared. I've done meditation here and there, but never every single day, and for such a long period of time, and I think that those really supported me in freeing up a lot of stuff. Not just with singing, but life, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So whatever barriers were coming up in my singing, I could see them in so many other places in my life, which has freed up so many things. The thought exercises too at the end were definitely big realizations for me a lot of times, and it was just a lot of aha moments. I've studied with many different singing teachers, and I think what's really good about the program is because you have all of that daily work, and then when you go and have a session, the sessions are totally different than hey, let me just come sing my song, let's work on my technique, because you can bring up those barriers that you've discovered in the sessions, and then you really get to expand your growth as a singer, just how everything ties in. I think it's just, there's nothing unlike it that I've ever done musically. What it was like working with Arden was amazing, first and foremost. I would say her level of awareness, not only for herself, but to be able to see what's going on, not just in terms of your body and your technique and where you're holding tension and that kind of stuff, but just to almost be able to see your barriers before you discover them. It's just incredible having a teacher, not only that's that aware, but also just, I think you really get to experience her love of like her passion. I've never had someone who's so willing to just, you know, like if I would email like, oh my God, I just had this breakthrough or whatever, I would hear right back with an email this long about whatever that thing was, which is like, she doesn't have to do that, you know? Like a lot of people don't really take the time to be with their students in that way because we're all so busy, but I just think her passion, her love of all of it is just amazing. And she's a great teacher. So like that's the cherry on the top. Having done the intensive and now moving forward, how I feel in my singing and my career is excited. I think before I did the intensive, I almost felt like I was in a space of like quitting, like this is just not happening, you know? And now I feel excited, hungry to keep expanding vocally, keep going for it. I think I've fallen in love with singing in a whole new way than I ever had before. I think sometimes in life, like we have these stigmas about stuff, like, oh yeah, I've done something like that already. It's like, I've done all of this transformational work. I have a life coach, you know, I'm in conversation constantly about growth, about my career, about my barriers. So, you know, of course there was a moment of like, do I really need to do that? You know, but how the whole intensive is structured, it's just, I feel like I have a technique that I can rely on fully. I understand my breath and my support in like whole new ways. I trust it, you know, whereas before it was sometimes, but not most of the time, you know, I didn't know what was gonna come out of my mouth because I had no awareness of what was going on in my body, you know, to be able to even replicate when I had moments where I was singing well. Whereas now I can go, okay, well, that felt really good, so let me just repeat that a few times so I can, you know, hold on to like whatever that feeling is. I think if you're really committed to singing your best, performing your best, and just being the best you can and growing and raising the bar, do it. No matter what level you are, just do it. Because of course, you know, it's a financial commitment and we have all these kind of thoughts, oh, the money or the this or the that, or I don't know, or, you know, all these things, like your little voice like wants to talk you out of doing it, but I would say do it. Do it and don't look back.